This review is on the movie Mr. Jones. I'm the angry guy. I'm going to tell you like it is. The film Mr. Jones is based on a true story. For anyone who knows some facts about the Holodomor and the politics of the men Gareth Jones and Walter Duranty, then this film is a gripping historic thriller. Help for viewing the film Mr. Jones. Stalin. Full name Joseph Stalin. He was the premier of the Soviet Union. In other words, the president of the Soviet Union in the 1930s. Holodomor. Holodomor is how millions of Ukrainians died of starvation when Stalin stole grain from the Ukraine farmers, which created a widespread famine, resulting in the death of 3.9 million people. Our main character, Mr. Jones, had an admiration for the pre-war Nazis. Walter Duranty, a well-connected and staunch supporter of Stalin, plus the Pulitzer Prize winner for 13 articles analyzing Soviet Union under Stalin, which was heavily relied on official sources. Come on, how can a Pulitzer Prize winner be such an asshole to rely totally information on Soviet Union officials? Plus, Duranty did not mention in any of his reports about the devastating famine that killed 3.9 million Ukrainians that was directly caused by Stalin. At that time, Soviet Union, Stalin wanted to have a good face for the Western countries to have trade talks with them. So all of a sudden, the Soviet Union had a great industrialization and agricultural program by way of propaganda, deleting pictures, paperwork, and killing 3.9 million Ukrainians by stealing their crops, and created industrial revolution with men that were farmers. This was a direct effort by Donald T. to help Stalin start trade agreements with Western countries. He ignored horrific facts about Ukraine, but Donald T. was still awarded the Pulitzer Prize for his reports on the Soviet Union. I don't understand. Director for the film Mr. Jones was Agnieszka Holland. Miss Holland was born in Warsaw, but went to Czechoslovakia to study film directing at FAMU in Prague. Miss Holland is also assistant director, writer, and has directed Oscar-nominated film Angry Harvest, Europa, and Warner Brothers films Oliver, and The Secret Garden. The cast in the film Mr. Jones was James Norton as Gareth Jones, Vanessa Kirby as Ada, Peter Sarsgaard as Walter Duranty. The film started out with Gareth Jones, a Welsh who was a political advisor journalist who heard through the grapevine the new industrialization and agricultural revolution in the Soviet Union was propaganda. That was least of Mr. Jones's problems, because he suddenly lost his job with the British Foreign Secretary in London. To reignite his career, Mr. Jones thought he could do an interview with Stalin. And why not, since he already interviewed Hitler and Hitler's closest and most devoted associate, Goebbels. Eventually, Jones leaves from Moscow. He contacts the New York Times reporter Walter Duranty in Moscow. Mr. Jones was not granted an interview with Stalin. In the meantime, Mr. Jones received a phone call from a man telling he should head to Ukraine because horrifying shit was happening over there. During the trip to Ukraine and talking to his guardian agent, Mr. Jones realizes his life was not worth much anymore, so he escaped and boarded a train south to travel on his own throughout Ukraine to witness the appalling acts that the Ukraine people were going through. While traveling through Ukraine, Mr. Jones found himself right in the middle of Holodomor, a famine that cost 3.9 million Ukraine lives as a result of Stalin's starving farmers taking all their crops, and the Soviet authorities issued a decree forbidding Ukraine's peasants from leaving the country. Surprisingly, no news about millions of Ukrainians being starved and killed reached outside of USSR, Soviet Union. When Mr. Jones finally made it back west, he had a hard time to prove his allegations because his camera was taken before leaving Russia. Plus, at the time, Duranty, now a Pulitzer Prize winner, had a better reputation and called Mr. Jones a liar. Plus, the British government, Wales is a part of it, didn't want to risk the lucrative economic relations with the USSR. I knew very little about the Holodomor and took hours of research to find out information about this vicious evil man Stalin, who applied horrendous acts on farmers to make himself look good in Western eyes. The film Mr. Jones is based on a true story. The acting was A. I give it an A+ for the director of photography. Storyline was A. The script was an A. But I blame myself for feeling distance from this film. It wasn't the director's fault nor the actors. Maybe I just feel ashamed of not knowing the particular part of history. Yes, this is a must-see film, but one has to have some facts about Holodomor, Stalin, and the politics of Mr. Jones and the Pulitzer Prize winner Walter Duranty. I sincerely think I did a review on a different movie on the same subject, but that was more about the paintings in people's houses that were used for bartering. Out of 10, I give this film an 8.2. Thank you for subscribing so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for watching, and thank you for commenting. Stay safe.